Congressman, I say there's something called the window of clarity, which opens up very rarely. It opened up on 10/7, and Americans understood what Israel was up against. It opened up again on Saturday night, and we know that Iran will do anything. If we do not, and if Israel does not strike their nuclear facilities now, do you imagine any circumstances under which we would do so?
Well, not under the current administration. I think the Biden administration will remain wedded to the Obama Middle East policy, which is to seek a détente, a rapprochement with the Iranian regime, to appease the Iranian regime, provide massive sanctions relief, no matter what they do in order to stoke chaos in the region. I think that the moment of clarity, the window of clarity you mentioned is precisely right, because remember, after October 7th, there was all sorts of attempts by the media and many in the Democratic Party to suggest that Iran was not connected to Hamas's attack on Israel. Of course, they were. Hamas is an outgrowth of the terror-sponsoring regime in Iran, despite being a Sunni Salafi jihadist organization and Iran being a Shiite theocracy. But that moment on Saturday night revealed that the head of the snake in the region is the Iranian regime. And if you don't have a regional policy that is built on rolling back Iran's malign influence and degrading, if not destroying, their nuclear program, you just have a recipe for chaos in the region. That's the only way that you get Israel working more closely with the Sunni Arab Gulf states economically, technologically, diplomatically. It's to build an alliance around the massive shared interests they have, around the long pole in the tent. And that is Iran. Iran is the head of the snake. Hezbollah is its terrorist organization, as is Hamas, as is Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And if you ignore that fact, as the Biden administration is trying to do, or if you try to segment different approaches or de-link your approach to Iran and your approach to Hamas, you're going to have a recipe for chaos, as well as add to that just the signaling that we've seen from the Biden administration rhetorically undermining Israel in its efforts to defend itself from a genocidal terrorist organization trying to destroy it.
Chairman Gallagher, for all your time in Congress, and especially as chairman of the Select Committee on Engagement with the Chinese Communist Party, you've been trying to push forward clarity on cyber capability, on TikTok, on China. And the world should know now that China is the head of the snake. Russia and Iran are below that. Below that are Cuba and Venezuela and a few other regimes like North Korea. And below that are these proxy terrorist groups. Do you think you have achieved clarity within the caucus and greater? Do they understand it's two worlds, the West and the anti-West? And the anti-West is led by the Chinese Communist Party. Do you agree with that? And do you think you've got other people clear on that now?
Well, certainly I agree with your framing. I've sort of called it an axis of authoritarian powers. China is the dominant player. Russia is the junior partner, but you also have Iran and North Korea in this axis of authoritarian powers. I believe we have achieved clarity on the threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party, but we still have persistent disagreements about what to do about it. But I was struck at the hearing we had yesterday with Attorney General Barr. I mean, look at what our findings revealed. The CCP directly subsidizes the mass production and export of fentanyl and precursors that are illegal to produce in China. They're funneling money to companies that it knows are engaging in criminal acts in order to kill Americans. The government owns and rewards companies who openly flout their own law and produce and sell illegal drugs that are killing Americans. So we have a form of chemical warfare underway that's killing tens of thousands of Americans every year. And you know how many Chinese died from fentanyl last year while 70,000 Americans did? Zero. That reveals something fundamental about the nature of the regime. And I'm struck by the Democratic rhetoric during the hearing, which suggests we are getting to a level of clarity on the primary enemy we face in Beijing.